Hello everyone, it's Davide here and welcome back to Learning Finance. In today's video guys, I'm gonna give you an update on airline stocks and I'm gonna talk to you about what am I doing with airline stocks. The only thing I ask you is just leave me a like so you help me with the YouTube algorithm and subscribe to the channel. And let's begin. So the last Saturday, that was what was going on.
Berkshire offloaded its entire position in American, Delta, Southwest, and United Airlines in April. Buffett adding that he made a mistake investing in airlines after Berkshire reported a record first quarter net loss of nearly $50 billion.
So we started the week in that way, and everyone was like crazy about that thing, okay? Everyone was crazy about airlines. Everyone was like, oh, we are going down. Oh, it's gonna be devastating. Oh, the next week is gonna be incredible. And also on YouTube, you just see comments of people thinking to be like Gordon Gekko, that they found the new way of making money by shorting airline stocks after they dropped 75% already, okay? And all those people, they were like, oh yeah, on Monday I'm gonna buy a lot of puts, I'm gonna do the kind of things. You know what's the reality of the thing, guys? Is that the reality of the thing is that the market was like, okay, thank you, but I already know that thing. Okay, I already know that Warren Buffett just sold all those things because Warren Buffett did that at the beginning of April. Okay, and the market already know that. Now, of course, the conference was not a good publicity, okay, for airlines. But honestly speaking, guys, if you just put a conference like that in the middle of nowhere, you will have a huge drop effect in the price. But guess what? Guess what the market did? Absolutely nothing. This is Delta Airlines. We started the week open 21.19 and we are actually at 21.59. Okay. Also take a look at American Airlines. American Airlines is the same. We opened at 9.41 and right now we are at 9.60. Let's look at the ETF. So the ETF, ticker symbol JETS. The ETF opened at 13 and right now we are 12.78. Okay, so a little bit down, but I mean that's almost nothing, okay, comparing to the bearish enthusiasm that we had on the last Sunday, okay, after a Saturday conference of Warren Buffett. Did we make new lows? No. Absolutely not so far, okay? Not in the ETFs, so not even in American Airlines and not even in Delta Airlines. So why the market has like done nothing due to this very bad news? Well, I told you already in the video I made before. That one, I actually made two of them on airlines. Because everything that is bad right now, we already know that, okay? We know that. We know the airlines are fucked up right now, okay? Everyone knows that. It's not a news anymore, okay? It's not a news anymore. So what I did in those days, that's what I did. Here you have the screenshot. I added more position on American Airlines. So I already have one around. I bought around 10.20, and now I added this new one so to push the average price lower. Okay, and why I did that? That's the main question. So one of the first thing that I want to show you is that now this is American Airlines and it's pretty easy to see that. Airlines stocks are cyclical. Okay, remember that. And they are hugely cyclical. That means that, look at that. Airline stocks, now we don't have enough data, but before was like the year 2000, the crisis and 9/11 as well, and the stock was like there. Okay, so we go up in good economic conditions and we go usually down in poor economic conditions, and we go up again in good economic conditions, and guess what we do now? We go down in poor economic conditions. That's what cyclical stocks do. Okay, bear that in mind. It's not wise to buy cyclical stocks at the top of the cycle. Okay, it is not wise. Delta, let's see Delta as well. Delta is the same. We don't have enough data, but we were coming through the 2008 crisis, and boom, economic cyclical positive results, and guess what it is? And now boom, down again. So it's a cycle. Okay, that's the first thing you have to keep in mind. The second thing you have to keep in mind is that those airlines right now, they are cutting costs more than 50%. Okay, they are reducing their dimensions. That means that they are cutting lines. Okay, they are cutting old planes. They are trying to avoid unnecessary costs. Okay, so as also in American Airlines, they said, Americans' pandemic reality, we will be a much smaller airline. Okay, so they are actually, it's like they are having a reset. Okay, and that's how they are gonna cut costs and come out as smaller companies. Okay, so even if travels are not gonna be the same in the next couple of years, they are not gonna have 100% of airplanes. Okay, that's important to keep in mind. Okay, they are gonna have losses probably, but not as huge as we think, because they are actually reducing the size of the company itself. That's what they are doing. Even if number of passengers, they go back to be just 60% of the amount they was before this pandemic, the company is not going to have 100% of planes, okay, because they are cutting costs. That's very important to keep in mind. Another thing that you have to keep in mind is that the US government has said that they will not let those guys down. And considering what the Fed is doing, I think we have to believe them. Okay, we have to believe them because they have already said they just set an amount of billions as a grant, so they can take this money and not to give them back. And another part it's made as a loan, so it's a sort of bailout, and not all those money are already being taken by airlines. So it's like if you need more, there is more. And so basically they won't let those guys down. And why? It's pretty simple to understand, as I already showed you in a previous video. Basically the four main players in US, which are those three, okay, those three, American, United, Southwest, and Delta, they are more than 50% of the entire market. And if you let those guys down in US, you're not gonna have more than 60% of airlines. Okay, so even if the pandemic goes away and things back to normal, you're not having any more of airlines. More than 300,000 people will lose their jobs. That's another huge problem. And you have to also to consider that the airlines industry has normally a lot of debt, okay, because buying planes, buying those huge plants and things like that, it costs a lot. So it's normal to have a lot of debt in the long term way. If you let those guys down, this debt is not going to be repaid anymore. That means the banks are gonna feel the heat of these bankruptcies. Okay, so they will not let those guys down. Okay, especially if you invest in the industry. You are not bearing the risk just in one company, but in the ETF. I cannot imagine United States without airlines in the next 5 years. Okay, that's what I mean. If you close your eyes, can you imagine United States people that they are not flying anymore? Well, in my opinion, I don't think so. Okay, I don't think so. Every 10 years is look like is the end of the world, but guess what? It's not. Okay, it's not. In After 9/11 was a disaster. Was a completely disaster. And guess what? It's kind of sad, but it looks like we forgot about that. Okay. And after that, we had 2008, and again, boom, financial crisis was looked like the disaster of everything, the end of banks. And guess where we are today? Like has never happened. And now, boom, this pandemic, boom, and again, it's like, oh, airlines are gonna not exist anymore in the next 5 years. But guess what? I don't think it is gonna be the case. Okay, I don't know you, but I don't think it's gonna be the case. I cannot imagine United States where people are not gonna travel anymore in the next 5 years. It's what the hell are we talking about? Okay, probably they're gonna travel less in the next 2 years. But if we find a solution to the thing with the vaccine and some kind of drugs to solve the problem, okay, how can you imagine United States people that they are not flying in the next 4 to 5 years in a long-term way? Okay, how can you imagine that? And keep that in mind. Those airlines, they have always been full of debt. Okay, it's not something new. It's not something that it's happening right now. Always, okay, always. The current ratio of Delta Airlines back in 2016, when Warren Buffett bought Delta Airlines, was below zero point 0.5. Has always been like that. It's not a new, okay, it's not something new. That's another thing. And the last thing, guys, which in my opinion is the most important document that you can watch right now, is this: Transportation's Security Administration, TSA. Those are the checkpoint travel numbers for 2020, 2019. Now go back to see the video I made the last week where I show you how many of those passengers American Airlines needs to go to break even, so to stop to burn money every day. And if you go back to the video, I show you in the next sheet that those passengers are around 400,000. Okay. And now, this is very important to watch right now. I don't think that the market is realizing it, but this was in the middle of the pandemic. Okay, in the middle of the pandemic, numbers around 92,000, 98,000, 97,000, 95,000, 87,000 in 14th of April. But right now, it looks like we are starting to go up again. And yesterday, we had, for the first time, 190,000 passengers. Okay, this is almost 200,000, and it's more than an increase of 100% since 15 days ago, so 2 weeks ago, in the middle of the pandemic. Okay, if you take those numbers here and you multiply them by 2, so the number of yesterday is higher, more than 100% since the middle of the pandemic. So it looks like passengers are starting to go up again. And guess what? If we relax these lockdown situations and if those things happen, those numbers, they are gonna go up even more. because you don't only fly because you are going on holiday, okay? You fly also because you need it, because there are a lot of things that can going around, so you need to take a plane and go somewhere. It's not just because you're going on holiday. So those numbers, they are not gonna go back to the 2019 numbers very fast and soon, okay? But they are gonna go higher than this. That's I'm pretty sure about that. And just even if they go up around 500,000 per day, you are gonna have American Airlines that is in break even. Okay, in my opinion, it's very, very, very important right now to check this TSA document. More than all the bad news and things like that, just bad news, bad news, bad news, bad news. I think that this thing is objectively saying you what is really going on. Okay, and right now, considering the fact that they are trying to relax these lockdowns, even in Europe and all those kind of things, if they find a solution, those numbers they are gonna go up. Okay, and when they go up, the market is gonna start to realize that, well, okay, probably it was not the end of the world. Okay, so that's why. So let's see how things goes, guys. Keep an eye on this. Okay, keep an eye on this. And that's the end of the video, guys. Leave me a like if you find it useful, and leave me a comment below and tell me what you think about that. Okay, subscribe to the channel and have a wonderful day.